What is up, y'all? It's episode 11 of the sports podcast of Your House, Our Rules. We are here. We got some things to talk about. We're going to go through the Final Four starts Saturday. Been grinding a lot on the regular podcast, so it's been a little bit late in the week. Wish we could have got this out a little bit sooner, but we're going to kind of go over some of the things that we saw, Sweet 16, Elite 8, and then, some of our predictions for the Final Four in the championship game. So right off the bat, if you look over here, what you can see, we got UConn, Miami, San Diego State, and FAU in the Final Four. When it came down to it, there was some good games, and there's a lot of upsets. We're looking at James, a guy from down in Tennessee, in our bracket challenge. He has currently won. I don't think that there's any way. I went and looked through it a little bit beforehand. I don't think that he has UConn winning it all. There's one other guy who has UConn winning it all, but I don't think that he can pass, maybe through a tiebreaker or whatever. But those two are literally the only one anywhere close to winning. So if that goes to show you anything, how many upsets that we've had, it's been that type of March Madness. So. Let's kick it off with Wallet, man. I mean, I watched a couple games with you this weekend. What'd you kind of see coming out of some of the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games?
Hold on, is this his bracket?
This is his bracket, yes.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. Well, no, because he doesn't have Miami, San Diego, and FAU. He had Kansas State, Alabama, Houston, and
UConn. Okay, because I didn't see him crossed out there. Yeah, this dude predicted this Final Four.
No.
Freaking Rain Man.
This dude should be in Vegas.
Seriously, Rain Man of college basketball.
He had a good one, but yeah.
I mean, the fact that you've got 3 teams that have never been to a Final Four this year. Spill, you and I talked about this even before the tournament started. I'm like, dude, you could have a strong team or two that can make their way to the Final Four, and then a couple of teams that, maybe have never been there before, or just aren't nearly as good as what they are, or you could have 4 teams that you would never predict to go this far.
Right, and I didn't predict these teams for sure. I know a lot of people had UConn. That's the one on there, but all these teams were pretty good this year. Like FAU only had 3 losses on the entire fucking season. So
right, but
yeah.
If I would have filled out a bracket, I would have probably put San Diego State going out in the first or second round. I would have never predicted them. Definitely not FAU. Miami, I was actually high on coming into the tournament, and UConn. You and I talked about this. I was high on both of those teams. So, I'm not saying I would have put them in the Final Four, but I mean, seeing them get this far is not really a shock to me. But
not
dude,
all too shocking. Yeah, I mean,
no, but dude, this has been a wild tournament.
Oh yeah. Been a really good
wild tournament, and it'll be interesting to see what the ratings come back for with this Final Four and the 4 teams that are in this Final Four. Because I don't see, the streets being burned down or couches being tore up at FAU if they win it all. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know. From what I understand, it's a newer college, so they might not have that support system. But I don't know. Those Florida people are crazy, man. Fucking everybody owns a gun down there. Yeah.
It could be year 1 at a college, and if I'm there and they go and win a national championship, I'm blacking out.
Yeah, bro,
in the middle of the college. It does not matter how long I've been there.
He becomes the biggest booster
I'm the
in 20
biggest
years.
fan, bro.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say real quick is it would be cool to see Miami and FAU go at it with 2 Florida teams.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, no.
That's why I wanted all the Texas teams.
And then looking at it, I don't know, fucking going at the Final Four and who we got left. I would say that Miami and UConn are going to be the 2 favorites to win the national championship, because the other side of the bracket is just that whole left side of the bracket is just fucked. I mean, look, San Diego State won against a 6 seed Creighton. You had Princeton over here as a 15 seed. Over here, you had Purdue and Memphis, who both people took a long way, that were both gone in the first 2 rounds. Tennessee, fucking FAU played Kansas State, and Kansas State's coach, which is actually, this is a pretty cool thing, went into the locker room after the game and said, "You guys, nobody's beating you guys. FAU's the team to beat." So, but I would imagine that it would come out that right side, but I don't know, man. That FAU team's looking like a bunch of gunslingers. I think UConn right now is the best chance. I think that they're the best looking team. I think that they played the hardest schedule, and they have the best wins. But FAU might be that team that just sneaks up on people. So, yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I was going to say is that coach for FAU in the post-game interview was extremely impressive when he was talking to the press and talking to his players and stuff, just about mindset. And, this was our mindset going into the season this year. Mm-hmm. He was being real. in that mindset, and I think that I'm hoping they win it all because
Yeah.
I would love to see that. Just because I mean, they didn't really celebrate that much when they beat whoever it was to go to the Final Four. It wasn't that crazy celebration
Tennessee,
for a team that's never been there before. If you watch their celebration, it was like, yeah, we're good. We got more work to do.
Yeah, they beat. I mean, they had Tennessee was a good win. Actually, they beat Kansas State to get there, but Kansas State was probably their best win. Tennessee shut down on them for like 5-10 minutes, and their offense just couldn't catch back up in the game. And then they played Farley Dickinson, but they also knocked off Memphis in one of the best games of the entire tournament early. So. That's probably my team that I'd watch out for, but I still think that they're going to have to pull up an upset over UConn because UConn in that Gonzaga game last week was just scary good. Drew Timme went into the foul trouble like at the beginning of the second half, and they just blew open a 20-point lead, and there was nothing.
They couldn't make anything.
Yeah,
they were like 3 for 21 at one point.
Yeah,
holy crap.
And I'm a big Zags guy. Like that was outside of X in Kentucky. Those are usually who I pull for. I've liked him ever since Adam Morrison. He's probably my favorite college athlete. But yeah, the Gonzaga just once Timme went out of the game, just could not do a fucking thing, man, at all. So
just a random little stat. If FAU was to win the national championship, they would be the lowest seed of all time.
Yeah, Villanova's
the lowest. Seed. Villanova with the 8th seed in 1985 is the lowest.
Yeah, I actually knew that one. So, I mean, we kind of got what's going, some of the things. Stolze, did you see anything that happened in the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 that would prepare us for who might go?
I mean, honestly, like FAU's got a ton of athletes, but just the way that UConn fills it up, man, like they just score. Like if you look at their points throughout the tournament, I mean, it's like they're putting up 75 to 88 almost every single game, and it's like no matter
88, 70, and then
yeah. I mean, they fill it up, so
they've beaten some teams pretty well.
Yeah, that's they're the only team that I've seen in the entire tournament that has just smacked around just about everybody that they played. Yeah. So.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's why they're my favorite to win it all, but I think that FAU team might come on. I don't know.
I do think FAU wins.
Yeah, I think FAU beats San Diego State, but they might run into some trouble because, San Diego State plays that really hard-nosed defense, and you're talking about a team that kind of, launches a lot of threes, scores a lot of points, going up against a team that's tough with defense. But Tennessee was there too, and, that defense fell apart for a little bit, and it ended up being the downfall of Tennessee. So
one of the best defenses in the country was
they were the top-rated defense.
Team. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the teams that FAU beat to get to the Final Four, that's, in my opinion, one of the more impressive runs of the 4 teams.
Farley Dickinson, Memphis, Kansas State. I mean, Kansas State was
Tennessee.
Whatever. Kansas State looked pretty good against Michigan State. That was just a really good game. But outside of that, I don't like them all that much against FAU. I didn't really like them all that much against Kentucky. I thought Kentucky beat themselves. I didn't really think that Kansas State beat them. So
everyone was obsessed with Kansas State's point guard after he had that one ridiculous game.
Yeah, Noel's a beast, but I mean,
but look at the other. Who did the other teams beat to get to the Final Four? I'm not saying they were. I'm saying that's
UConn
impressive.
Definitely didn't have as much of a grind.
Kansas got knocked out. St. Mary's got knocked out by the Iona. So UConn had a pretty good one. Gonzaga's probably the best team that they played. Miami played Houston, Indiana, and then Drake. I think that's pretty impressive. So you know what? I might take that back. FAU might have been the hardest schedule that we've seen so far.
That's what I'm saying, man. And that test is what gets them. Yep, that battle test is what's going to, I think, hopefully put them at the very end and win a national championship. I'm pulling for them.
For sure.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. You got any other comments, Shad, about some things that you might have seen in the Sweet 16 or Elite 8?
Honestly, I was really skeptical because I was seeing all these experts pick UConn to go so far, at the beginning when people were making their brackets and shit, and I'm just I don't see it. They started off the year strong, and then they kind of fell apart in the middle of the season, but then they kind of finished strong, and I'm just to me, I didn't see the consistency there, but I mean, I've been proven wrong. I mean, you can argue about the teams they've played, but there's no doubt what they've done, especially versus Gonzaga, was incredible.
Yeah, the thing about it, though, with UConn is they might not have had the strongest run, but they've smacked everybody they've played by 20 plus points. So,
they did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, and even Gonzaga, when they got up, like we said, it was close up until about 15 to go in the second quarter, and then it kind of stayed close from there. But when Timme went out, their team was demoralized. They could not hit a fucking shot, and then it's just hard to come back from that. So, Yeah,
Didn't Houston have an injury to one of their better players?
I think their best player went out.
I think their best
Yeah.
player,
I
right
mean,
before. I think he
that
went out in the AAC tournament.
that hurts, but yeah, I think you're right, Chad. That's like I any of the 4 number ones, I didn't think like I honestly didn't think any of them were going to get to the Final Four when the tournament started.
UConn is the only team that I've really heard put out there that actually made the Final Four that people were talking about this year. No one had San Diego State, no one had FAU, no one had Miami. I mean, you made comments, Mike, about Miami being a team that might sneak up on people, but you really didn't like go and say, "Oh yeah, they're going to make the Final Four." So
Yeah, I mean, I could have seen them making the Elite Eight, so which is pretty far, but like I mean, to be playing for, a shot at the national championship is impressive.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
The fact that there's 3 teams for the very first time that have been to the Final Four, and then UConn being the 4th is crazy.
You know, I don't think a team that has won the national championship even made the Elite Eight. And the Sweet 16 was the first time that we've because it was the Elite Eight. There was never not a number 1 seed because there was still a number 1 seed in the Sweet 16, right?
Yes.
Was there?
I did not see Kansas losing. I really didn't, or not Kansas. Sorry, Texas. I thought Texas was going to take the whole thing.
Man,
I didn't think it was going to be very close.
Texas was one of those teams that I was really liking after seeing them a little bit. I was kind of down on them at the beginning of the tournament, but I watched them play a little bit, and I saw that Miami-Texas game. I'm like, oh, this might be interesting. And now that I've seen them play, I was like, I remember after watching the Gonzaga game, I texted my dad. I was like, the only team that's going to sneak up on UConn this year is going to be a really hot Texas or Miami team. And Miami did what they needed to against Texas. So if they play hot like they have been and they're hitting their shots, they could beat UConn. But I think UConn's top dog right now. They're the one.
I think so too.
Upset.
Yeah.
So
I'm just glad Texas beat Xavier.
Texas
Shout out to the Xavier fans that talk shit when Kentucky lost.
Yeah. All right, so let's move into some predictions. Who we got moving into the championship game, and who you got winning it all left out of the remainder of them. We'll start with Shad first.
I want to see, and I think we'll see FAU and UConn. I think, like Wallet said, I think they're both playing really well, really good basketball right now, and they're on a roll, so I don't really see them. I don't really see either one losing this game.
And who you taking in the championship game?
Probably UConn. I think they'll be too much for FAU. I don't know. I don't know much about FAU, but I'm willing to bet UConn's got a little more height, a little more speed, and I think that'll do it in.
What about you, Stolzy?
Literally the exact same thing.
Exact same thing.
Like the exact same thing.
Yeah. So, what about you, Mike?
I guess I got to go with something different because assuming like I would have taken the exact same thing.
I don't know. So far, when we've all agreed on something in the tournament so far, it's went pretty well. So
yeah, but
even with the playoffs,
this is when things take a turn. I'm gonna go San Diego State against UConn and San Diego State winning the title.
Ooh. Oh, okay. All right, I was thinking about that. The UConn Miami game, I think that it might be closer than the rest of the games UConn has played, but I think UConn's just got the edge in that game. The San Diego State and FAU game, I really wanted to take San Diego State. I like defensive teams. I like San Diego State. I think that they might deserve it a little bit more than FAU because they're that team that's kind of, that mid-major team that's always battling, always fucking causing problems and stuff like that. Like, I want to see them get their chance, but I think FAU's just been that hot team. They're good, and they're going to end up making it. So I got UConn and FAU too. I do, however, disagree with y'all. I'm going to go ahead and take FAU to win the national championship this year.
Yeah.
I think that UConn is the best team. I think that it's going to be a tall task, but I think that it's just been that fucking tournament. Nothing that I have predicted has gone right at all the entire tournament. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the script here, and I'm taking FAU for the national championship this year. Newest lowest seed of all time winning it. So
love it.
All right.
I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right too. That'd be pretty dope.
I hope you're right too.
San Diego State and FAU are for sure, I think, America's teams. I think most people are rooting for one of those two teams to win the national championship. So